Hey, Slay Nation, it's your host, Heather, back with another episode of the So She Slays podcast. Today, I'm so excited to have Jessica Ufuoma inside the studio. She is here. She is also the founder of the travel company Go Jolly. And I wanted to talk to her because she is like an expert when it comes to solo traveling, like solo traveling the world. And as a woman who loves to travel and who may not always have friends to travel with who want to go when I want to go or a significant other or anything like that. I don't want that stuff to hold me back as a person. And I know there's tons of people out there who want to do that too and who have always entertained the idea of maybe traveling by themselves, but fear, not knowing what to do, how do I know it's safe, has always come into play. So, we're going to be talking about all the things that surround solo traveling as a woman and also as a woman of color on today's episode. But before we do that, Jessica, give us your spiel. How'd you end up an expert in solo traveling? And also, what Go Jolly? I mean, you totally turned it into a travel agency.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Jessica Ufuoma, and I'm a travel creator, traveler. I love traveling, and I started off traveling solo because I had planned this trip to Paris for my birthday, and then all of a sudden, all my friends canceled because they couldn't make it for that trip. I booked my ticket, I booked my accommodation, all of that was already booked. So I had this big decision to make. Do I go by myself or do I cancel my trip? At the time, I'd never done any solo trip before, so it was a huge decision. I was very scared, I was very nervous, I didn't know what to expect.
I
But
would be so scared.
yeah, I know, but I'm like, you know what? It's my birthday trip. I still want to have a good time. I can just try going on that trip by myself. So it was supposed to be a 7-day trip, but I'm like, I'm going to just reschedule it to just be a short trip over the weekend. I'll go and see how it goes and just have a good time. So I turned the 7-day trip to a 3-day weekend trip. I went on the trip by myself and I had the best time. Literally, it was the best time. I made so many friends. So many people just came to help me, talk to me because I was by myself. And I ended up just making new friends, having the best birthday ever. And from then I was like, oh, actually, I don't need to wait for anyone to actually travel. I can actually go by myself. And that was the most freeing, most empowering thing I could have done. So ever since then, I've been to more than 30 countries by myself. And I'm not talking like just a weekend trip anymore, like the first time to Paris. I've been to Japan, Thailand, Kenya, like lots and lots of places that are far away from home. I'm very comfortable traveling solo to those places as well. So yeah, solo travel has changed my life. It's changed my perspective on life, and I absolutely recommend every woman to go solo on a trip. Even if it's just once, just do it at least once in your lifetime. It will be the best thing you've ever done, honestly.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so we have to get into this. We
Yeah.
have to get into this. I'm so excited. You have me hyped already. We haven't even discussed anything. But okay, so let's start from solo traveling in the very beginning in the fears that came up for you, right? Because I feel like it's so normal if you've never done something before.
Yeah.
And we just did an episode with Jen from Expatsy. She helps Americans relocate to different countries and
Hmm.
whatnot. And she had made mention that unfortunately, like America tends to scare people and
Hmm.
say that like traveling abroad is very dangerous and
Yeah.
this and this or whatever. And I'm just wondering, as a female, a woman of color, and traveling by yourself, like how do we calm this fear, and is it justified?
Of course, doing anything by yourself or doing something new will be scary. Your mind is telling you like it's like flight of how do you say it?
Fight
Like
or flight, yeah.
flight, right? And like you're telling yourself, hey, like you're thinking of the worst case scenarios in your head of what could go wrong, and they're very valid. Like the fear is valid, and I want to normalize that fear, that it's okay. Even if I've been to all these countries by myself, I still get that feeling of, oh my god, what if something happens and I'm by myself in a new country? But at the end of the day, those fears, you just have to do it to get comfortable. So the more that you actually go on that trip, You feel the fear, you do it anyway. You're building that muscle of, you know what, I'm going to do it and I'm going to be fine. You're getting more confident, you're learning on the road, and you're just becoming more and more confident. And I think one of the best things about solo travel is that you learn how to trust yourself, which is a very big thing as a woman to have, right? So I always trust myself that, you know what, no matter what, I'm going to be fine. I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to have a good time. I'm going to look out for myself, even if I'm scared, right? But also, the best thing you can also do when you're going solo is, because I can say, oh, it's not, it's fun, it's all nice, fun and dandy, but it's in the research, the way that you structure your trip, the way that you plan your trip, so that you feel confident to take that trip. So, for example, this is a small thing, but when I go to a new country, I make sure that my airport transfer is already booked so that I'm not going to the airport just like showing up and looking like, what taxi do I take? How do I get from the airport to the hotel? That's like the first hurdle. And if you cross that hurdle and you cross it successfully, you feel a lot calmer. Like, okay, this
Mhm.
didn't go too bad. I'm gonna, I'm going to see how the rest of the trip goes. So always make sure you know exactly how you're getting from the airport to your hotel. First things first. And I always recommend for women, um, try to stay at a hotel. The reason why I don't recommend Airbnb is because most times the Airbnb is like a house, like a location.
Yeah.
So the driver who took you from the airport to the hotel, they already know this is where you're staying. They know that you came alone because they picked you up from the airport to the hotel, to the Airbnb, and they know
Mhm.
exactly where you are because it's usually like a one unit type setup.
Yeah.
But if they took you from the airport to the hotel and it's like a hotel with so many different rooms, I mean, they know you're staying there, but like there's so many different
There's a
rooms.
lot of
There's a
people.
lot of, yeah, the lot of, traffic in and out the hotel. There's no way for them to know exactly where you're staying. So like I always recommend women to book a hotel versus an Airbnb. Usually Airbnb is good for like a group setup, there's safety in
Yeah.
numbers, but for solo travel, try to book yourself into a hotel if it's out of your budget, a hostel, whatever. But make sure it's not just like an Airbnb, like a one house type situation,
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
one
I mean,
unit.
I feel like you might be opening yourself up for something. I mean, it's
Exactly.
definitely, yeah, it's definitely a little sketchy. I mean,
Right.
like my friends who have solo traveled had like shared little tidbits with me. Like one of
Mm,
them was if they were like solo traveling in a male dominated like country, like
right.
that the culture,
Hmm.
to wear like a wedding ring and never say
Yes.
that you were single.
Yes. That's a
Especially
big one.
they were saying especially as like Americans or whatnot, because they're gonna
Yes.
try and do a whole bunch, like they're gonna try to
Right.
work angles.
Yeah.
So I want to know, like, because we want to be prepared, right? I don't
Mhm.
believe in living in fear. I think we address the fear and then
Yeah.
we figure out what to do with it, right? Because I don't think fear should hold you back from doing anything in your life that you want to
Yeah.
do. Live
Exactly.
once. So let's talk about maybe some of your tips, some of the most like important things that we should be doing. We already made mention of airport like travel to hotel, to stay in a
Mhm.
hotel by your, like if you're by yourself, don't rent an Airbnb. Let's talk about other things in order to help us feel a little bit more comfortable so that fear doesn't come up.
Yes. So I do think that a successful solo trip starts from the actual destination, how you choose that destination. Because as much as I've been to lots of places solo, I do think that there are places that are better suited to solo travelers than others. And you know that through research. So for example, if a country is generally safe, most likely you will feel safe. So for example, I traveled to Japan by myself and I felt so safe because it's a safe country overall, and everyone minds their business. No one's looking at you, judging you that you're traveling solo. You can drop your bag somewhere and come back, and it'll still be there. So, like, if it's your first trip solo, you want to be very selective on the destination that you actually go to, right? So you may not be able to do a very like high traffic place where no one's paying attention to you. For example, like a New York, right? It might not seem
Yeah.
like a big solo trip because it's in your country, but let's say you are going to somewhere where it's like maybe like Barcelona, Spain, for example, or somewhere where it's like a big city where everyone
Yeah.
minds their business, you may feel very overwhelmed by that. And no one's stopping to like check on you, or like you don't feel like you can stop and ask someone for directions because everyone's just like rushing to work, like getting
Yeah.
somewhere. So you want to choose somewhere where it's a little bit low profile or quiet, like maybe there's like a lot of like, for example, I think of like Costa Rica. It's very like mellow and chill, where like if you needed some helps you can just like go ask someone and they would help you. But also for your own sanity, like things are not moving too fast where you're like, oh my god, I'm alone now. Like it's so obvious. Like there are birds chirping. It doesn't feel like you're by yourself. Like there's nature, there's sounds. It doesn't feel so quiet or so like upbeat. So like you need to select your destination very carefully. I always recommend, do your research, check Reddit threads of like people who have been there before, ask questions. Even social media is such a huge part of how we select our destinations these days, right? Like
I mean,
if you
true. That's
see
how I
someone,
do.
right, exactly, we all do. So if you see someone who's been there solo and you read about their experiences, although experiences are always different, but like it might give you a little bit of comfort knowing that, oh, someone has been there before, I can confidently go by myself. So the first one, of course, is like selecting your destination, but also just like being aware of what you're doing, right? Like what
Hmm.
you wouldn't do back home, don't try to do it in a foreign country, especially because you're by yourself. Like don't wear like, very flashy jewelry or like, all of those things. For me, when I travel solo, I always travel carry on only. It's a personal choice because I don't want to be too like, extravagant or like
Bogged down.
bring a lot of like attention. So I'll just like travel, and it's just easier to just like grab your bag and go into the town and without like having so much luggage, and now you're relying on people to help you, like you're slowing yourself down. You want to be like as ready as possible so that you can give yourself a chance to have a good experience, right? And
Mm.
also like let someone know your itinerary, like back home, like send it to a friend, tell them this is where I'm going to be, this is where I'm staying. Because just because you're going by yourself doesn't mean that you have to do everything by yourself. You can actually rely on people back home to like, hey, this is my itinerary, this is where I'm staying, this is what I'm doing. And so that they, in case they have something to go off of, they can, make sure you're fine. And yeah, I think those are some tips that I would give. But also like, like I said, check into your hotel. Don't ever tell anyone that you're by yourself. Like you might have like a taxi driver or someone asking, hey, are you by yourself? Just lie. Like just say,
Yeah.
no, I'm meeting up with friends, or oh, my friend's coming, her flight is delayed. Like just say that
Yeah.
for the sake of your trip so that you never feel like, oh, they're by themselves. Now I can think of like something evil to do to them or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Not providing the opportunity is great.
Exactly. Just shutting that down. Like you said, the wedding band thing is also good
Mhm.
because you're like, oh, even if she's by herself, I know there's someone who's like dotting on her
Like
and like
keeping track of
looking,
her.
keeping track. Exactly. I can't just like comment. So those are some of the tips. But at the end of the day, I would say that things are a lot scarier in the media. Like things
Mm.
like half the time or more times than not, you'll be fine. It's the
Yeah.
exceptional cases where we hear about. Like I've never had, knock on wood, never had anything bad happen to me, and I've traveled so much by myself. So I just know exactly how to navigate my trip. I make sure it's not such a long trip where I'm like increasing the chances of something happening. I would do like a 5-day trip where I'm getting the most of the culture and the place without feeling like I have to like do like a 2-week trip. And like knowing that in
Mm.
your head, like I'm just here for 5 days, it feels more manageable. You feel like, okay, it's just 5 days. The first day I'm actually just getting in, the last day I'm going back. So like 3 days in reality is what I have. It feels more manageable than saying like, oh my God, I have 2 weeks. It's like such a
What am
scary,
I gonna
what am I
do?
gonna do? Right. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so I have to ask you then, like, if we are searching for our first solo trip country to go to, we mentioned Japan. Are there like criterias that we should be looking for? Like, what do we look for when we're trying to figure out what country to go to that's, you know, friendly to solo travelers?
Yeah. I would say like the first thing is to see how safe the country is, like baseline. You can just Google like safest countries in the world. You know, that's a baseline and that's very subjective, I would say. Like I personally wouldn't always go off of that because maybe I have more experience traveling solo, but in general, there are countries that are deemed safer than others. So, for example, Japan, Switzerland, those places are known as being safe. So, like, I would start there. But also, personally, for me, I like to go to places where number one, it's scenic, so it's beautiful, right? Like,
Mm,
and I mean like scenic in terms of just visually appealing. The reason why I say that is because when I go there, like it's very hard for me to be bored or feel like, oh my God, there's nothing to do because I'm feeding my eyes, I'm feeding my senses, and it really does matter, right? And also you want to select a place where, is very popular, like the very popular destinations. I know we're all about like off the beaten path, hidden gems, but those places are not the best for solo travelers except you have a lot of experience. So this is not the
mm,
time for you to go to like a remote village by yourself. Like stay in a city where like there's lots of people. Even if it's touristy things that you're doing, you're going to be safer there because like there are more people there, you have safety in numbers even though you're by yourself. So like I would definitely recommend going to very popular destinations like Bangkok, Thailand, or like Tokyo,
yeah.
Japan, or like Costa Rica, or like places that people go to a lot, and start there so that you feel safer because there are more people. Don't venture out by yourself to a remote place just because you want to see a hidden destination. But the more that you get comfortable traveling solo, then you can do those more off the beaten path destinations.
Okay, so then that has to bring me to the question of like, okay, putting together solo friendly itineraries and all that
Hmm.
kind of stuff, right?
Yeah,
Um and making sure that you do make the most out of your couple of
right.
days, right?
Yeah,
So I want to say like I know there's times where I mean, I can imagine somebody's like, okay, I can figure out how to get a plane ticket and how to get over there and my transportation. Like, Google's my friend in that aspect. Let me throw it in
hmm,
Chat GPT,
right.
like all of that kind of stuff, right? But my thing too is like feeling comfortable going out and exploring on your own,
That is
because
a
it's
big one.
different, right, it's different. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about how do we feel comfortable, how are we finding things that are safe. We talked a little bit about remoteness and not maybe tackling that the first couple of times we do this.
Right.
But let's talk about going out and exploring because that's essentially why you're there.
Yeah. And there's that temptation of just being in your hotel room all day and not doing
Oh my
anything.
gosh, right,
Right.
because it's safe, you know that.
It's safe. You're like, oh, I'm in this like bubble. I just stay here, just order room service and call it a day. But how I get over that is I always pre-book my experiences before I get there. So I'm not tempted to not do something because I already paid for it. I don't want to waste my money, right? But
Yeah.
it's not just about pre-booking. So number one, I recommend putting an itinerary together that excites you, something that is like, oh my God, I can't wait to do this. I can't wait to do that. That's the first one because when you're naturally excited, you're more likely to get up and go. So solo travel is good because like you don't have to compromise on anything. You're doing exactly what you want when you want. It's perfect. But so I mean, in that sense, you should be creating an itinerary that excites you. Like if you know something you love to do, then do it in a new country. If you love museums, put that in your itinerary. If you love wine tasting, put that in your itinerary. Like do all of those things that you love. But also I recommend pre-booking those tours in advance. Like actually going to websites like getyourguide.com, Viator, tour, those tour experiences places, and then booking your experiences in advance. But not only that, I recommend selecting the experiences that gives you the opportunity to do things with people. So like there's cooking classes where it's not just you. There's like all these tours, like boat tours where it's not just you, there are other people. Many times you meet fellow solo travelers as well while you're doing it. So you might be just because you're hopping on a plane by yourself does not mean you have to spend your entire experience alone. Like you can actually strategically make sure that your itinerary has touch points of activities with people, interactions with actual human beings. And you can know because most times, like if it's private, they'll say private tour. But if it's like a group tour, like it's not private, like they would tell you like how many people are in there. So okay, I'm going for this cooking class. I'm going by myself, but I'm gonna meet other people, other travelers from all over the world. Some may be solo, some may be as a couple, but we're all doing this together. And then you have that experience, you go back home or you do something else, and that's how you sort of like get over that fear of going out by yourself, because I may be here by myself, but I'm actually doing a group excursion where I'm meeting other people and having a good time. And I've met so many friends doing that. Like I've made some friends, lifelong friends, just like, oh, you're actually here by yourself, okay, what are you doing next? If you feel
Yeah.
comfortable, right? Like if you we all have our instincts, right? When it's like, oh, this is not a good situation for me. I don't really trust this person, or like, oh, this person feels good. Like you trust that
Hmm.
instinct, and like, okay, let's meet tomorrow. Like here, you don't have to give any detail like where you're staying at first until you get more comfortable. But yeah, that's what I would say. Definitely, book tours where you're meeting other people. Sometimes it's like free walking tours where like there's a guide and you're just like walking together. You try to book that maybe your first day or your second day just to get yourself accustomed to the place that you're visiting. But that's how I would do it, like book tours where you can meet other people.
Okay. So now, as an experienced solo traveler, because we talked about this is an opportunity to come in and kind of maybe meet other friends with
Hmm.
experiences and going out
Yeah.
and doing things like that. I want to know from when you first started to solo traveling to now, like looking back, what do you wish you knew or you should have learned earlier? Because I feel like every time I travel outside of the country, like I'm always going to meet someone. So I'm never actually like solo traveling. I'm solo traveling on my way there, but
Hmm.
not actually spending time in that country alone.
Hmm.
So my thing is just kind of like every time I leave the country, I learn something new, and I'm like, oh, mental note. Okay, we're not going to do that anymore. Like,
Hmm.
or like, this is a
Right.
pain in the butt. Let's not do that. So,
Exactly.
what are your top things that you wish you knew in your experience, solo traveling right now, like that you wish you knew when you first started?
Yeah. I think the first thing that I wish I knew was to be more open to a destination, even if it's labeled as unsafe, right? Like
Mm.
sometimes the I wish I knew that the media exaggerates things or like paints something way worse than they actually are, and just being more open-minded about certain places versus just feeling like, oh, this place is bad, I'm not gonna go there, right? And I'm not saying you should ignore all of those warnings, but like just being more open to those types of experiences, because some of those might be the best you've ever experienced, in your life. Like for example, it took me so long to go to Colombia. I knew I always wanted to go to Cartagena, Colombia. I knew that because I would see all these colorful photos and videos online, but I always saw the warning where it's like, this is unsafe, don't go there. And for a long time, I just like, okay, it's unsafe, I'm not going to go. But then one day I said, I'm going to give this a shot. I'm going to give this a chance and see how it goes. And I ended up going there, and it was the best, like one of my best solo travel experiences. So, like, being more open is something I wish I knew, but also just like trusting myself and trusting my instinct. If something feels off, just being like, okay, this is off. I'm just going to remove myself from the situation. Just like that first gut feeling, it's so powerful, and you kind of have to trust yourself. And when I first started, I would just like not, I would just avoid it altogether. I wouldn't like try and make any friends. I would always just think, oh, this person is out to get me. Meanwhile, it wasn't always true. Like it was just like fear trying to hold me back. But like being able to distinguish between just like your natural fears versus your gut feeling is so big. And that's something that I wish I would have exercised more when I first started.
Mm.
So yeah.
That brings me to the question too, where it's just kind of like, how do you that is my thing. It's like, you're trying to predict the variables as much as possible, right?
Mhm.
So that you feel safe, that you've kind of have an idea of what's happening or whatever. And some of this is just like jumping in and seeing how it
Yeah.
works out. I
Yeah.
mean, honest goodness, that's kind of like what it is.
Right.
I've always found helpful, especially if I'm going somewhere I've never been, right? Like
Yeah.
asking people around me who travel, like, hey, what did you think about, going to Malaysia by yourself and
Mhm.
staying in this part of the country? Or
Yeah.
have you ever been to X, Y, and Z? What was your experience? And that always helps. So if you, one, obviously, if you have friends, ask. But if a lot of the people around you aren't traveling like that, where do you go? Like, what would you do if you didn't have that in order to kind of find someone to ask? Because I always feel like that's like one of the top things. It's like
Yeah.
it reassures me so much, especially if like it's another woman. They're like, oh yeah, I went solo, was traveling there by myself. It was great. You just do this, and this, and I'm like, oh great, cool.
Right. Yes. So I think that when you surround yourself with travelers, it just feels more manageable and easy. Like, oh, they just make it seem effortless because they've done it so much. But if you don't have that, the fears are more exaggerated. Like, the first time I was traveling solo by myself, like my mom and my dad would be like, "Are you crazy? Like, what are you doing?" You know? But now I surround myself with people who have that lifestyle or want it or open to it, and that makes it a lot more manageable for me, right? So I don't know if that's what you're trying to ask, like,
Yeah, I mean, I think what I'm trying to find too is like if somebody, you know, maybe we can find it through social media. I feel like a TikTok might be able to do it because I'm thinking
yeah,
about the person who maybe is the first one out of their friend group, family group to be like, I'm just gonna go solo traveling. Like, I just want to do
yeah,
it. I think
yes.
half of this stuff is just being resourceful too, and try
Oh
and
yes,
thinking on your feet. Because I figured
yes,
that out too. It's like you have to be resourceful. Always
you
make sure your
do.
phone is charged. Um,
Exactly. Like, it's just like, for example, you're going we the reality is that a lot of times a lot of people do things by themselves already
mm,
in their own city. Like, you
true.
want to go get groceries, you just go by yourself. You don't think about it because the risk is lower. You've done it so much that it feels normal to just get up and just like go to a coffee shop and have a drink and just go back. Like, you're doing that by yourself, but it feels like a very manageable risk because you've done it so much that you've trained your brain to think this is safe. But like,
Mm,
it's kind of the same concept, although it's just in a different country. Like, if I wanted to go to a coffee shop, okay, I would just go in there and like try to do things in a way that feels safe. But it feels like a bigger risk because I'm in a different country. But like, at the end of the day, it's kind of like the same thing, right? Like,
yeah,
so when I'm going, I make sure, like, I have my charger with me, and like I can charge my phone in case I need to get, like, and if you are looking
yeah,
for something in your own city, let's say you want to go for like to a Thai restaurant, you just search like Thai restaurant near me. It's the same exact thing like when you travel. Like those are the things that you kind of have to think about. I already go to eat by myself sometimes. I already go to, get groceries myself. I already go, like, you're already doing a lot of things by yourself, which means that you can actually travel solo by yourself.
I love that perspective because I think a lot of us build it up to be such a thing. And you're
Mhm.
just like, actually, though, don't you already kind of run errands by yourself? Don't
Yes. It's just
you
like,
kind of go to Target by yourself or like wherever?
yeah, exactly. And anything could happen while you're going to Target.
True.
Anything.
True.
Like, someone could just like anything could happen. But we don't think about that because we've done it so many times where it feels safe for us because
Mm,
it's repeated a lot of the times, right? But like, anything could literally happen. Someone could come in to Target,
yeah.
not and do
Yeah.
something, right? So, but does that mean you don't go to Target though?
Yeah.
You still go.
Yeah, exactly.
because you need to
Exactly.
grab something and
Yeah.
you need it. Like you still go. Like anything could happen anytime, anywhere, any country. But we still leave. Like we still like keep going
You
to
still do it.
work.
You don't let it
You
stop
still do
you.
it. But I think because it's travel, it doesn't feel as essential. Meanwhile, it
Mm,
is essential. Like if you wait
mm.
for other people to be ready, you're waiting, but you're leaving yourself behind. That's what's happening,
Oy.
right? So like
Oh, that
you
is so the
kind of
truth.
have to like do it anyway because you just never know what you're going to find. And it makes you so much more powerful as a woman, as an individual. Like if you're able to navigate, Google Maps, language barriers, all of that. When you come back home, you're so much better for it, and it
Mm,
affects your relationships, your work, your career. You have more problem solving skills at work. There's nothing you can't do because like I literally just like spent 2 weeks here by myself. Like this is little compared to that.
yeah.
So it makes you better.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And I have two more questions for you before we wrap up. Like,
Yeah.
one has to do with women of color,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Because some countries, unfortunately, it's a factor you have to
It is.
consider. So, if you are, or anybody else, I mean, obviously you are, but I'm talking to the audience. If you're listening and you're a woman of color, how do you navigate solo travel in that lens?
Yes.
Is it
So
different too?
it is different. I mean, I'm not going to be able to say 100% the difference because I've not lived in a different skin color, but I
Yeah.
know it's different. I've traveled with my friends before that are not women of color, and the way that they are treated is different. Those are the realities of traveling as a woman of color, as a Black woman, right? So I'll give you an example. I went with my friend, lovely girl, she's not a woman of color. We were on a table and she was consistently being served first, consistently. At first, I thought, okay, this is just a coincidence, but like consistently being served
Start
first.
happening. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, I see what's happening here. Maybe whatever bias you have, like it's playing in her favor. So those things happen. Um, and but the way that I see it, and I know people have a very different approach. I'm like, some people say, why would I go to a country that I'm not welcome to? Like, and they're like, it's canceled. But I don't have that mindset. My mindset is,
Mhm.
why would someone stop me from seeing this part of the world? Like, I deserve to see this place as well. I deserve to have these experiences. And I'm not going to stop myself from having those experiences just because of a chance of something happening. And those are very real fears. And I see why people will just say, you know what, I'm not spending my hard earned money somewhere
Yeah.
that I'm not welcome. But my approach is different. I feel like I deserve to be seen. I deserve to be in spaces, even if I'm not welcome, even if I'm not comfortable, I still deserve to be there. So in that the restaurant scenario, I was there. I'm like, hey, I'm here. Can I get
Mhm.
my food? And like just having that authority and just being confident and just taking up space, I feel like the next time someone who looks like me comes there, they might be treated a little bit better because they've encountered someone who was like not scared, didn't be like, okay, I'm just gonna cower in fear or just
Yeah.
like make myself small. So I think while there's that, you can say, oh, I'm not welcome here, I'm not gonna go. I see why you would say that. I don't blame you for it. But at the same time, my approach is different. I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
I'm gonna experience
I mean,
it.
like, why wouldn't you? If you want to
Why
go, you
wouldn't
should
I?
go.
Exactly. I would go. And maybe because you've encountered more people who look like me, you might have a change of mindset or you might just get more comfortable. Because anyway, some people are just not comfortable seeing someone else who looks different. They
It's
haven't
so
seen it, they're
interesting.
not exposed to it. So like the more we get out there, the more we normalize it, the more we take up space, the more we, feel it.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
Yeah.
I agree. And honestly, it just made me realize because I just took a trip to India. I went to India and Malaysia, and
Mm,
it wasn't a solo thing. I met
nice.
my friend over there. But she's doing this thing called semester at sea or whatnot. I don't know if you've heard of
Mm.
it. Basically, it's school abroad for kids who want to live
Oh,
on a ship for like 4 months and travel to 10 different countries.
oh
It is
wow.
the coolest thing ever,
That
Jessica.
is
I'm not gonna lie. It
amazing.
is the
Oh my
coolest thing
gosh, I
ever.
love that. What's it
Uh,
called? Semester?
semester at sea. I, I
Amazing.
literally, I was like, where the heck has this been?
Oh my God, that
Um,
sounds amazing. Yeah.
yeah, highly recommend anybody to
Yeah.
try and, do it if you can.
Yeah.
I went in because my friend is part of the staff that's helping with this semester C program, and she
Yeah.
had an opportunity to let me join, so I joined for a
Nice.
few weeks. But anywho, what I was getting to was that when we were in India, it was the strangest thing. Well, I guess strange for us because you're not used to it, right?
Hmm.
Like we had a bunch of students. We had a group of like 25 students with us, right?
Hmm.
Predominantly affluent white boys and girls,
Right.
young.
Hmm.
And so they were out here, getting culture and doing the things. We were in India and we were walking around, and I kid you not, you would have thought they were celebrities. We were being
Hmm.
followed all the time.
Mm.
The kids were being asked if they could take pictures. One of the girls got handed a baby out of nowhere and was like, take a picture, take a picture. And we had to make sure that they understood like what was happening because it's
Hmm.
so not what they're used to. I mean,
Right.
they're not. They're
Yeah.
like, I live a regular schmegular life. I'm
Right. I'm not a
21 years
celebrity.
old. Like,
Oh my God.
but it
Yeah.
was the craziest thing. And so we
Oh my
kind of
God.
had to make sure that they were one okay with all of this because it was
Mm.
a lot. Like when I'm telling you, there was a swarm of people
People. Oh my God.
everywhere. And
Wow.
they would just stop out of nowhere or like grab somebody's arm and like take a picture, take a picture, take a picture. I was
Oh
like, oh
wow.
my
That
geez.
sounds overwhelming to
It
say
was
the least.
very overwhelming, and so there was a lot of time, and it's like, I'm half Chinese, but I predominantly show as an Asian woman, and my
Mm.
friend is a Hispanic woman, and so like they're used to seeing people that look like us,
Of course.
and so they're like, whatever with you, who are these white people? And
Yes.
so yeah, it was definitely an interesting thing. So I think it just, you need a little bit of research, and sometimes you need to be able to be like, okay, adaptability is a
Yes.
thing.
Yes. You have to adapt for sure.
My
Yeah.
last question to you before we leave is list like your top three places if you are a beginner solo traveler you would go to, and then if you're an experienced one, where you've gone that's been like the best experience.
Yes. So beginner, this was some of the places I went to as a beginner that I loved. So like I really liked Costa Rica by myself. I loved Thailand by myself, and I loved Portugal by myself. Yeah, so those three I think are very solo travel friendly, especially like Thailand. For example, like lots of people you meet there are solo travelers. There's nothing weird about it because sometimes people look at you weird, like, oh, you came by yourself, like that's weird. But like in places like that, it's just like, oh, okay, nice, you're by yourself. Like that's the default thing there. So I really love those places by myself, especially as a beginner. Um, Experienced, I loved traveling to Kenya by myself. So Kenya, Japan, I loved by myself, or even El Salvador, which
Ooh.
yeah, which everyone's, in the media it says that that's like the world's most dangerous country, but actually no, it was so safe and so beautiful and so inexpensive. It's just such a lovely place to travel to. But I know lots of people wouldn't even think about it as a destination.
Yeah,
Yes,
I
but
would
I
have
love
never, I would have been like, have
yeah,
you seen the
it's a
news?
beautiful place. There's lots to do. Again, that's another thing. Like when you're traveling solo, try to find a place where like there's so much to do, like you can be bored. And places like, like I said, Costa Rica, um, Japan, Portugal, they have lots to do. Yeah.
Oh, love. Jessica, thank you so much for joining us. I feel like we had a jam-packed episode of so much information.
Yeah.
Slay Nation, I'm gonna need you to like bookmark this for when you go on your solo trip. I'm manifesting this for you.
Yeah.
I'm manifesting this for myself.
Me too. Like the next solo trip needs to happen soon.
Jessica,
Yeah.
where can people find you, follow you, all of those things?
Yeah. So I'm on Instagram, TikTok, Threads, everywhere at the Ufoma. And you can also find company, which is travel Go Jolly, the travel experiences company. It is actually designed for solo travelers who want to go as a group. So maybe you're like, I don't want to go by myself while I'm there. I want to first start off as a group, but I'm by myself. Go Jolly is there. So at Go Jolly at everywhere, Instagram, TikTok, everywhere basically.
Yes, go jolly. I think that sounds
Go
super
Jolly.
interesting. Like you're gonna
Yes.
go there by yourself, but you're gonna end up meeting up with people and having
Yes.
a good
Having a good
experience
time.
that way. Ooh,
Yes.
love that.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much, Jessica, once
Thank
again.
you.
And Slay Nation, thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time.
Bye.